Have you ever been on a road trip late at night, where the road stretches endlessly ahead of you, and the only light comes from your headlights cutting through the darkness? That's where this story begins. It's a story I heard from a friend of a friend, but the way they told it, it felt too real to dismiss. It was a cross-country trip, just a guy named Mark and his dog Max. Mark was driving through a stretch of desert highway in Nevada, one of those roads where you can go miles without seeing another car. The kind of place where the silence feels heavy and the darkness, it feels alive. It was around 2 a.m. when Mark first noticed something strange. He was listening to the radio, trying to stay awake, when he saw a figure standing on the side of the road, just standing there. No car in sight, no houses nearby. Just a person silhouetted against the moonlight. Mark slowed down, thinking maybe they needed help. But as he got closer, the figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't even turn to look at him. It just stood there facing the road. Mark sped up, his heart racing. He told himself it was just a hitchhiker, someone waiting for a ride. But something about the way they stood, it didn't feel right. A few miles later, he saw it again. The same figure, same stance, same eerie stillness. But that was impossible, right? He'd been driving for miles. There's no way someone could have gotten ahead of him. Mark's dog Max started growling, low and deep, the kind of growl that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Mark tried to calm him down, but Max kept staring out the window, his ears pinned back. And then, Mark saw it a third time. The figure, closer this time, close enough to see details. It was wearing a long coat, its face obscured by a hood. But the worst part, it was turned toward him now, watching him. Mark floored the gas pedal, his hands gripping the wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. He didn't stop until he reached the next town, hours later. He pulled into a gas station, his hands still shaking, and called the police. But when they went back to look, there was nothing. No footprints, no sign of anyone. Just the empty desert highway stretching into the darkness. Mark never drove that route again. But sometimes, late at night, he swears he can still see that figure in his rearview mirror. Watching, waiting. And the strangest part, a few weeks later, Max disappeared, vanished without a trace. Mark searched for days, but he never found him. Some say the desert has a way of swallowing things whole. Others say there are things out there, things that don't belong. Whatever it was, it's still out there. And if you're ever driving alone on a deserted highway, keep your eyes on the road, because you never know what might be watching you from the shadows.
This next story happened to a woman named Sarah. She was driving home from a late shift at work, taking a back road to avoid traffic. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that makes it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. Sarah was about halfway home when she noticed a van behind her. It had been there for a while, its headlights glaring in her rearview mirror. At first, she didn't think much of it, but then the van started getting closer, too close. Sarah sped up, trying to put some distance between them, but the van matched her speed. Every turn she took, the van followed. Every stop sign, every red light, it was always there, right behind her. She tried to stay calm, telling herself it was just someone heading the same way. But then, the van flashed its high beams. Once, twice, 3 times. Sarah's heart was pounding. She reached for her phone, but there was no signal. no way to call for help. She was alone on a dark, empty road with a van that wouldn't let her go. And then the van pulled up beside her. Sarah didn't look. She couldn't. She just kept driving, her hands trembling on the wheel. But out of the corner of her eye, she saw something. The van's passenger window was rolled down, and inside, there was no one. Sarah slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop. The van kept going, disappearing into the rain. She never saw it again. But to this day, she swears she can still feel those headlights in her rear-view mirror, watching, waiting. And sometimes, when she's driving alone at night, she hears the sound of high beams clicking. Once, twice, 3 times.
This tale unfolds in the heart of the Whispering Woods, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. Emma, an avid nature photographer, ventured into these woods to capture its untouched beauty. She was mesmerized by the serenity, the vibrant flora, and the enchanting sounds of nature. But as dusk approached, the atmosphere shifted. The birds fell silent, and an eerie stillness took over. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. She heard it, a soft, melodic tune, almost like a lullaby. Intrigued, she followed the sound deeper into the woods. Emma stumbled upon an ancient, abandoned cabin. The melody seemed to emanate from within. She hesitated, but curiosity got the better of her. Inside, the air was thick with an unexplainable presence. The melody stopped abruptly, replaced by whispers, soft, beckoning. Emma felt drawn to an old, dusty mirror. As she gazed into it, shadows began to form behind her reflection. She turned, but the room was empty. Panic set in. She fled the cabin, the whispers chasing her through the woods. She reached her car, breathless, and sped away. To this day, Emma avoids the Whispering Woods, but sometimes in the quiet of the night she hears that haunting melody and wonders, what secrets do those woods hold?